Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grue again. And we got a very special guest today. And today we got Mike Manning, and he's in a couple horrors. He's in a new horror movie called The Call, and it stars Lin Shaye and Tobin Bell. Lin Shaye from Insidious, Tobin Bell from Saw. And he's also in a TV series called The Bay, and he's in a soap opera, Days of Our Lives. So I'm looking forward to bringing him in as a guest today, and we'll hear what he has to say. He's also a former real world star. So without further introduction, Mike Manning. Okay, welcome to Grue. Thank you so much for being a guest today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Don't mind my dog barking. He barks at every little thing.
Oh no, it's fine. You might hear my dog barking here in a second too. So I have two pit bulls. So when they bark, you hear them.
Oh, oh wow, that's nice.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
my dog is a little Maltese kind of mixed dog,
Oh,
and
nice.
it's like this little tiny thing.
Okay, there you go.
His bark in his mouth is so big.
Yeah, yeah. How could such a big sound come out of such a little thing?
I know, right? Exactly. I I see you're in a couple different horror stuff, and I wanted to ask if you're a horror fan, and if you are a horror fan, what are some of your top favorite horror films?
Okay, I am a horror fan. I actually just produced a horror movie called SlapFace,
Ooh,
um, and and that'll be out later this year. I think we're gonna do a film festival this year. I can't say which one yet
yeah.
because it's still under wraps, but it's called Slapface, and I love horror. I love horror. I love being in horror. I love producing horror. I love the escapism of it all. I was actually recently in a film called The Call,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna talk
and
to you.
that's maybe the one that you're referring to. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and working with Lin Shaye, from the Insidious franchise,
Mm-hmm.
and working with Tobin Bell from the Saw franchise, and having
Mm-hmm.
these two horror film legends coming together in this film was fantastic. And the film takes place in the 80s. And when I met with the director and I was like, okay, what do you want with this character? He said that he wanted like a punk, like a smart ass, like Vanilla Ice. So I went back and I watched that movie Cool as Ice, and that's what I based the character on. And if you watch the movie, it's like shaved head and like like cross earring, and like he's such a punk. Um, but that was really cool because, like, to answer the other part of your question, growing up, I loved practical effects, and I
Yes.
loved horror movies like the Nightmare on Elm Street
Oh my God,
franchise, and
yes.
all of like those, like they like Hellraiser and like all, like whatever. They all just they scared the crap out of me, and that's what the director did on The Call. His name
Okay.
is Timothy Woodward Jr. and I talked to him, and he had a similar taste on like loving old school 80s horror movies like that,
Yes, yes,
and
exactly.
like 80s 90s. And so that's what they did in the film, and they use a lot of practical effects. I mean, the film's been out long enough, so maybe I could give a spoiler. Like,
Okay.
in the movie I die, but then I come back and I'm like just this zombie, and that took like hours in makeup, and but it was fun. Yeah.
Oh wow, that must be so cool to play something like that. Because I I was in like a couple like very low budget horror films, like nothing that got released to any kind of public or anything, and it would be so much fun to play like someone that comes back from the dead and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, no, it really is. I feel like the reason that people go to the movie theater or watch TV or whatever is because they want to see themselves in those stories, or they want escapism. So you
Hmm.
either have drama or love story or romance, and they want to be taken away and they want to see themselves in that story, or they just want a break from their lives and they just want escapism. And that's, for me, that is horror is the ultimate escapism, because that's where people can die and come back, or you have
Exactly.
zombies, or you have vampires, or you have werewolves, or you have murder, or you have all these things that you can sort of push the boundaries and have fun with.
Hmm.
But then at the end of the day, it's not real, so
Well,
nobody's
yeah,
getting hurt. Yeah,
that's true. That's true. You're
yeah,
right about that. How
yeah.
how did you get picked? Like, how did how did you make Slapjack? Was that something that you came up with and wrote, or did someone else write it and tell you to come on board?
Yeah, so the reason that SlapFace
Oh,
is
Slapface,
so,
not
yeah,
Slapjack.
SlapFace.
Sorry,
So it's like slap face. Uh,
Slapface.
the reason that it's so special to me is because I um, I was connected to the director through another producer. I sort of I had produced a movie called MFA that was a thriller, and I think that's out on Amazon and everywhere. People can watch that. It's like MFA.
Okay.
And for me, in that movie, I produced it. A friend wrote the script, Leah McKendrick, who's a talented writer, and Natalia Late was our director, and then our star was Francesca Eastwood,
Okay.
Clint Eastwood's daughter.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we had like a badass writer, a badass female writer, badass female director, badass female star, and the movie was about a woman that's sexually assaulted and goes and kills rapists.
Oh,
So it's like a
okay.
revenge
Okay.
movie, and she goes and she picks them off one by one. But in that, like, that movie, it has everything good about a revenge movie. It has
Yeah.
the violence and the blood and the anger and this, like, whatever it is, but then it had a really good message.
Yeah.
And to me, after I and we premiered at South by Southwest, we won a bunch of awards. It did really well. It came out in theaters, and for a low budget film, that's all that you can hope for.
You're right.
So I after that film, I reached out to some friends and I said, "Hey, I really love doing films like this, like horrors and thrillers, but I also want kind of a cool message to it."
Hmm.
And so somebody sent me the script for Slapface, and originally in the script, it was a story about a father and a son, and then this monster that lives in the woods. And so I hopped on the phone with the director because he's in New York and I'm in California. I
Okay.
got on the phone with the director and I said, "Hey man, I'm really interested in being a part of this story. I love your script. I think that the message is really cool. But how do you feel about having it be an older brother and a younger brother? Because the tragedy in the movie comes from this older brother trying to take care of his younger brother after their parents die. And
Okay.
then this little boy has nobody else. And then he befriends this monster, and then all this crazy stuff happens. But I
Right.
was like, how much more tragic is it if it's not a dad and a son, but it's like this older brother
Hmm.
trying his best to take care of, his younger brother, and he's not doing a great job. He's a drunk, and he is, is not a great parent figure,
Yeah.
but he's that's because he's a brother. He
Yeah.
got forced to
Exactly.
do this before he was supposed to. So anyway, so I found the director, who's also the writer, Jeremiah Kipp, who's super talented. He took the script and he rewrote it, and then I said, if you rewrite it, I will make this movie. Like, we will find the financing, we will find the
Hmm.
cast, we will do this together. And so, really, for me, Slapface from beginning to end was like finding the script, packaging it, financing it, casting it, shooting it, overseeing post, and then editing it. So it's like really been my baby from start to finish. And so I feel like, I mean, fingers crossed, we're gonna have, now that the world is opening up again, and that this, hopefully COVID is gonna be a memory that we wipe out this year. After that, I think theaters will open up again and people will be able to go to movie theaters and see movies. So that would be my
Hmm.
hope for this one, is like, it's a movie that people can go in the theater and get scared and
Yeah.
have that
Exactly.
experience again.
You saying that, that's one thing I miss so much. Every time a horror movie came out, I would run right over to the movie theater and watch it, because there's nothing like watching like a horror movie on the big screen, because you get the sound, and everything, like just watching it on the big screen, the sound it's
Yeah.
perfect. And to not be able to go to a movie theater, it's, oh my God, I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in 2020, during this pandemic, and then, now we're in 2021, but I think things are starting to get better. That is one of the things I miss the most, was going to
Hmm.
the movie theater and being able to see something on the big screen with the sound, with the popcorn, the
Yes.
whole atmosphere that the movie theater creates for you.
Yes.
Not having that for a full year was really tough.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just hope they come back, because the one here in Philly, like they announced that they closed and they aren't gonna come back, and I'm hoping they put something else there, another kind of movie theater there. So I don't know
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
happens
That's a
with that.
bummer. That's a bummer.
How was it like working on set for the horror movie Call with Lin Shay and Tobin Bell? Like, how was it working on set for that movie?
Yeah. I mean, it was such a fun movie because it took place in the 80s, so everybody has like the weird hair and like the big outfits and stuff. And the story centers around four kids that get caught up in this like witch voodoo ghost stuff that Lin Shay and Tobin Bell's characters put together for revenge on these
Oh,
kids, because they
nice.
terrorized her during her life, and then she dies and all this stuff happens. Um, but being on set with them and like watching them work was it was a masterclass in just owning the set and just owning the character and just going for it. Like watching Lynn, the emotional levels that Lynn had
Yeah.
uh, were just incredible. She would be so angry and then so sweet and then so sad and so this and so, and
Hmm.
she would just, every single word, every single line, every single moment was just so full of emotion that I was like watching, like, oh my God, like this is, I'm learning so much just watching you. And
Yeah.
then on the flip side, Tobin, there's a scene in the movie where Tobin Bell is walking around and he's sort of delivering this monologue.
Okay.
And the whole time I'm thinking like, this is the guy from Saw. Like this is like, immediately I was like, oh great, like straps are gonna like pop out and we're gonna be stuck to the chair and we're gonna be tortured, like Saw. But
For
yeah, yeah,
that mask.
like around your head and everything. But he was just, I mean, he just has such a presence, and his voice and his stillness is just like, he commands attention without even trying.
Hmm.
I mean, of course he knows what he's doing, but he's just
Oh
so
yeah.
effortlessly does that, that it was really fun to watch both of them and what they both brought to the character.
Oh man, that's so awesome to be
Yeah.
on set with them. Like a couple years back, I actually talked to Lynn Shay on our show, and she was doing another horror movie called Room for Rent. I don't know if you ever saw that one with her.
Okay. No, I haven't seen that one.
And she was really good in that movie, and just listening to her talk, and she talked about Room for Rent and that little small role she had in like Freddy Krueger Elm
Yeah.
Street, the first one, is like she talked about that in Insidious films, and she was like so much fun to interview.
Yeah. Well, she's great. I mean, she doesn't take it too seriously.
Hmm.
And one thing, I mean, I've been here in LA now for over 10 years. I have been fortunate enough to be a part of different film and TV projects. And to me, what I've noticed is the people that don't take themselves too seriously, the people that just want to have fun and be a part of good projects, and are down to earth, those are the people that people want to work with
Yeah,
and that will have
exactly.
long careers. You have these people that have egos and
Hmm.
just are rude and just take themselves too seriously. Nobody wants to work with them. And of course, you have a few that like, I'm not going to name any names, but you have a few that have strong careers, but most of them, people, that fizzles out because nobody wants to work with them.
Hmm.
And Lynn is the example of that. I mean, she's had a great career, and she's completely down to earth and super sweet. But when it's time to work, she works her butt off.
Wow, so amazing.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if you could like give a lot away or anything from that film, but like, what was your best scene and best kill in the film? Like,
In the call.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's already out. It's been out. It came out in theaters in the fall. It did like drive-ins because everything else was closed,
Yeah,
at least in
exactly.
California. But it actually did really well in drive-ins in the movie theater. I think it's on available online right now if anybody wants to watch it. But so it's like I'll give the spoilers. It's been long enough.
Okay, okay.
But in the movie, the thing that I enjoy about the movie is that it wasn't a stereotypical, like, you have a bunch of dumb kids show up
Hmm.
and they get killed and you
Hmm.
don't even know their names.
Yeah, yeah,
This
yeah.
one, I mean, yes, it has all the scares and it has those fun horror film moments,
Yeah.
but what the writer and the director tried to do is they tried to give at least enough backstory so that, my character, for instance, he's a jerk. They
Hmm.
give enough backstory so that at least you know why he's a jerk. And
Oh.
then his death actually is almost like him. In the film, these kids have to face their worst fears.
Hmm.
And so in the film, my character's death is him facing his father, who was also abusive. And so you know why he's a jerk and you know why he's a bully, and so they sort of take it and they spin it, like they turn it on its head, and it's like, this is the character, this
Hmm.
is why they are that way, and now we're gonna kill him with it. Kind of thing. Yeah. No, but it was fun. It was fun, and we shot in this giant mansion in Beverly Hills.
Jeez.
It's one of the original homes that was built there back when, I think it was Paramount Studio, back when, like, there were only like six houses on the entire Beverly Hills,
Yeah,
and I think it was owned by one of the studio heads. I think the guy that was the head of Paramount Studios, because I think it has his desk, his like old school desk was upstairs in one of the rooms. But this house was like, it was like if somebody took a museum and a horror movie and
hmm.
smushed them together,
Oh, wow.
because they didn't even have to. There was so much of the lighting and the dust and the weird paintings on the walls and stuff were already there. They didn't even have to bring them in. So shooting in that house was fun because it as an actor, it allowed me to get lost in the story and be scared, like
Okay,
genuinely scared, and
okay.
that made it more fun when we were shooting all of those, like the death scene and the running away from the ghost scene and all this other
Hmm.
stuff. Yeah.
Oh, man. Was was there any like cool or funny behind the scenes stories that happened on set that stand out to you the most for the call?
So I shot the call with Erin Sanders, who
Hmm.
she was on. I think she was on Zoe 101 or one of those like Disney or
Oh, okay.
Nickelodeon shows, something like that. But before shooting the call, she played my girlfriend in the call. She's also played my girlfriend in another movie, Limelight, we did years ago,
Oh.
and then she played my my girlfriend's best friend in another movie that we did together. So it was our third time working together. So we're very comfortable with each other. And the whole
Okay.
time, like, she would be reading and I would scare her, or I would be doing something and she'd kick my feet out from under me and trip me. And so the whole time we were just joking around with each other, just because we have that friendship and that, like,
Yeah.
so that I would say that there was a lot of that on set.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Um, tell me about playing Caleb on the television series The Bay and season six. I was reading something online. You were talking about season six, like being like you really like season six. It's your best season.
I think season 6 of The Bay is the best season of The Bay in general for
Okay.
everybody.
Okay.
I think that, so we shot it in August
Mm-hmm.
of last year during the pandemic. They shot the entire season 6 basically on this secluded ranch because it
Really?
was in the middle of COVID, and everybody would get tested and go up
Mm-hmm.
there. And once you're up there, you're wearing a mask the whole time unless you're shooting, and
Gotcha.
then you can't leave. You're stuck on this ranch. So what they were able to do in terms of all the storylines that they incorporated was, in my opinion, was really impressive. And they also took what was going on in the world and used it for the series.
Oh
So
wow.
they had episodes on Black Lives Matter. They had
Wow.
episodes on COVID, you know, and somebody dying. I won't say who it is, but somebody dying
Hmm.
from COVID. They had like they talked about like police brutality and gay
Wow.
marriage, and you know, and then above that they had everything that's good about like an online drama soap series like that. So
Yeah,
they
yeah,
had
exactly.
a baby born in the back of a car, and they had the evil twin, and they had all this other stuff that makes for good television. uh, but it was fun, and my character Caleb plays a teacher on the show, and so he's going through like teaching his students on Zoom and like
Hmm.
doing, it was everything that I was currently going through as a human being with being frustrated with COVID.
Well,
I was
yeah.
able to apply to the character,
I,
and
I,
there was no acting involved. I was just like, I get this. I get what's going on. I'm frustrated too. But yeah, but it was a lot of fun, and I'm really grateful that I had the show in August, because I started filming Days of Our Lives in September,
hmm.
and before I found out about Days of Our Lives in March, 3 days before the shutdowns were announced. So I
Oh my
basically
God,
found out
really?
that I got the role, I got the contract, and then 3 days later everything shuts down. And so I spent all of quarantine not knowing if I had a job.
Oh
And
no.
yeah, so but and then they finally reach out to me and they say, "Hey, Mike, congratulations! You know we're going to start filming in September. Um, you know, get excited." And in my mind, I'm panicking because I'm like, I have not been on a set in 6 months.
Hmm.
I'm starting a brand new show,
Hmm.
with a brand new character. I'm going to be the new kid in school with all
Yeah.
these people that have acted together before. I what do I do? And then they called me for the Bay and they said, Mike, we're going to film season 6 in August. Are you a part of it? And I was like, yes, please. Like, give me something, give me anything to just be on a set again. And just, you know,
Yeah.
so I was actually really grateful for the Bay you know, the timing just happened to work out.
Man, that's really cool. Yeah, that was the next thing I was gonna ask you on how you got cast for Days of Our Lives, but you just said it.
Yeah. I mean, it was a process of like, you know, I've gone to meet with the casting director and I've auditioned for Days of Our Lives so many times over the years, and
Hmm.
it was just a matter of like the right role at the right time kind of thing.
Okay. And like shows like that, they're called soaps, right? And a lot of the actors that are on those soaps have been acting on that show for like years and years and years. And
Yeah.
how did it feel like coming like you said, you're coming on set, you're fresh, you're new, and you're there with the actors that probably have been on the show for like 30 years.
Yeah, I mean it's great because I have such a tremendous respect for soap actors.
Hmm.
Um, if I'm being honest, before I was involved with the soap, I would watch it and I was like, yeah, okay, like that's kind of corny, like that's whatever, that's what. And then now doing a soap, I'm like, these actors are so, everybody is so talented because
Yeah.
you have so much dialogue to memorize. You get one or two takes. The writers are constantly, oh, see, there's my dog. The writers are constantly coming up with new story ideas because an episode airs every weekday pretty much, and so
Dang.
it's like they're coming out all the time, so the pace is so quick that you know, everybody is, it's like you're, those actors that have been on there for 10, 20, 30 years, they are
Hmm.
living those characters every day, all the time,
Yeah.
because they work so much. And it's just it was in the beginning, I was nervous to sort of be thrown into that world as the new guy.
Hmm.
But it was great. Everybody was so welcoming to me and really tried to support, you know, me doing a good job as like the new kid in school. And
Right.
and it's been great. I mean, I've been on the show now for whatever it's been, months, 6 months.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So
Nice. And like that's what I wanted to ask too. Like being on a soap is like totally different from doing a TV series, doing a film, because like you were saying, you have to always put something out like every day. And like how much more grueling, like how long are the days when you're working on the show?
yeah, I mean, some days I would shoot 10 pages. And so
Okay.
I would go there, and keep in mind on a studio film or even a bigger indie film, they might shoot 10 pages. They might shoot 5 pages in a day.
Yeah.
5 pages, it's like a whole day takes 5 pages.
Yeah. Yeah.
In this, they're shooting an episode a day. They're shooting 75 pages in a
Oh
day.
my God. Wow.
And so some days I would have 10 pages of dialogue. Some days I would have 40 pages of dialogue.
You
And,
remember all that.
and what?
And you have to
You have to
remember
memorize
all
that.
that
Yeah.
line
They
for
don't
line.
yeah, they don't use cue cards. You memorize everything. And if you show up and you don't know your stuff, then they're not happy.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah.
Wow. I always wondered that. That's why I wanted to ask you.
Yeah,
Like,
well, and that's why I have such a respect for people that are involved with soaps now,
mhm,
because I know how much work goes into being ready and prepared every single day and being truthful to the character and trying to find moments and beats and give a good performance.
yeah.
Uh, it's a lot, but it's also a lot of fun. I was actually I've been fortunate enough to do a lot of guest star roles or like recurring roles for a couple episodes,
Mhm,
or I've done a lot of like feature films.
yeah.
But for me, when for instance, I did a Disney movie. It was a
Okay.
snowboarding movie called Cloud Nine.
Okay.
We go to Utah, and we're in Utah for 3 months, and we make this movie. And I go there and I fall in love with the cast. I fall in love with the character. I fall in love with the crew. I fall in love with the world everybody creates. And then three
Mhm.
months later, you pack up and you go, and you're never a part of that world again.
True.
And I had
True.
done that so many times that I remember going into 2020 being like, I want to book a series that has some longevity to it. I want to be a character that I can be, week after week after week, to really explore different
Mhm.
aspects of this character. Please, I was like, please, like, give me something that lasts more than 3 months. And that's what Days has been for me so far.
Sweet. Sweet.
Yeah.
And I see the thing, the poster hanging up in the back. The other horror movie you're in,
Oh yeah,
Delirium.
right there, Delirium. Yeah, so Delirium. Have you seen Delirium?
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one of the first horror movies I ever did.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh, really? Get out.
yeah,
Oh,
one of the
nice.
first one of the first horror movies I ever did, and it was just so much fun, just like being thrown in it. And that's another one where we filmed. A lot of the filming was overnight, and it was in Northern California,
Mhm.
and so we would shoot from like 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. And by the end of the shoot, I'm like, I thought that I was nocturnal. I was a bat. I was
Of
like up
course.
all night, and I started, you get like lack of sleep. You start seeing ghosts for real, and you start getting scared. But that's the fun of it. That's when you're able to get lost in that story and in that world.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that's where you find the good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Because like that's another film. I didn't see the Call yet, but like that, this is another film where it deals with like ghosts, and it sounds like it's something similar to what Call is. And I wanted to ask you, like, doing a kind of movie like this that deals with spirits and ghosts. Did did you ever like witness anything like haunted on set, or something that you looked twice and were like, did that just happen?
Yeah, yeah. So there was one time when we were filming Delirium, and we filmed it at I think I always get confused with the name of the place in the movie and the name of the place in real life.
Okay.
I think it's the Dunsmuir Hellman Mansion in Northern California is what it's called. But it's actually considered a haunted, like a real haunted place.
Nice.
And so there was one time where we were filming, and I had to. It wasn't my scene, so I was like, I'm going to explore the house, and I walked up the stairs, and all of a sudden, I walk up this like the stairs, and I go through this door, and the room was 15 degrees colder.
Oh
And
wow.
I looked around, and there wasn't a vent, there wasn't a window open, there was nothing, just the room was colder. And all the hair on my arm stood up, and I felt like there was somebody watching me in the
Wow.
room. And I was like, you know what? I'm out, I'm out. And I walked down the stairs, and that was it. I was like, I'm not going up there again. And I do genuinely think that place has something,
Yeah, exactly.
spirits or like ghosts or whatever really exists out there. It's
Mm-hmm.
in that house.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, because there's like a lot of people out there that like don't believe in like spirits or ghosts or but there's a lot of stuff that happens that you can't explain, so it has to be real, like with you said being in that house.
Yeah, I genuinely think that, not without getting too much into it, I think that there are different energy forces, with people, with animals,
Mm-hmm.
with plants, with living beings, and I think we're, connected in some way. And I feel like sometimes when people die, that energy turns into something else,
Yeah.
and that's what we feel. And I'm not an expert. I don't know. I'm not going to get into like what exactly that means, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that it is pretty self-centered to think we that the world revolves around just us.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there has to be something else. There has to be energy that connects us. There has to be, in my opinion, like I think there is an afterlife. There is a
Oh,
different,
definitely, yeah.
and I think it's self-centered for us to think that it's not that way. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, definitely not. I feel like that too. It's true. And there's another horror film you did that was done like a while ago. You worked with Full Moon and Charles Band, the Ginger Dead Man 3, was it?
Yep. Great. I'm so glad you found that one.
Well, the reason I found that one is because like my my site recently like hooked up with Full Moon and Charles Band,
Got
and
it.
whenever like a new film comes out, they always give me the person to talk to an interview for the site, and then they
Okay.
send us like a box of stuff that we sent to one of the fans that want it, and the Ginger Dead Man was actually one of the figures they
Oh, that's funny. That's so yeah, so it was so Ginger Dead Man 3,
had.
Saturday Night Cleaver
Yes, yes,
is
that's
what
it.
it was. And it was I think it was my first film in Los Angeles. And a friend of mine was a producer on the film. And I think it was one of his first jobs or whatever. Like we're all starting out. And he calls me up and he says, "Hey, Mike, one of the actors bailed on this movie. Can you come do this role?" And so I showed up not knowing what I was doing,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
having, I had no idea. It was the next day. And I basically had to like, I was shirtless in these tiny shorts, and I was like making out with this girl in a closet in this like utility janitor's closet.
Hmm.
And then I get killed by a gingerbread cookie, and that was my first job. There it is. You can't make this stuff up.
You can't. I've I have watched all the series of the Ginger Dead Man. So, like like how the one thing I wanted to ask you about that film is like how do you actually like film something like how do you get in the mind frame to picture like to fake it like that a gingerbread cookie is killing you. Like
Yeah,
how do
it's
you?
honestly, it's everybody just sort of looks at each other, and you know that everybody's sort of there's this unspoken like understanding that what you're doing is ridiculous,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you just have to go for it. So that's what we did. I was like, you know what? I have to get nail gunned to death by a gingerbread cookie. Whatever, it's fine. There are worse things.
Sure, you're right. And, one of my favorite shows of all time is Teen Wolf, and I wanted to know how it was like for you to be on set for Teen Wolf, and you worked with Tyler Posey too, right?
So I didn't shoot directly with Tyler Posey,
Okay.
but Tyler was the lead of the show,
Yes.
and so
Yes.
I was in season 6, and so in the episodes where I shot, I'm this like new cop that comes to town and tries to take over, and cause problems for the sheriff that's there. And the
Mm-hmm.
sheriff is one of the lead characters' dads, and he's been on the show for the whole time.
Yeah.
And but it's played by Lyndon Ashby, who was Johnny Cage in the OG Mortal Kombat movies.
Oh.
So
Okay.
there's this fighting scene with him where he like makes a joke, or I like draw my gun, and he makes a joke and I make a joke, and I'm like, dude, what are you like 60 or whatever? Like I'm making fun of his age. And essentially he beats me up. And so we had a stunt guy there, and we were like choreographing all the stunts, and I wore this like plastic plate that on the front and the back, that he kicked, because then I flew into the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and like
Mm-hmm.
I, I was like, give me as many stunts as possible. Like I want to do. I love stunts. I love stunt work. Um, and so I flew into the wall, and he like roundhouse kicks me, and he kicks me, and I fly into the wall. And the entire time, all I'm thinking is like, Johnny Cage is kicking my ass. This is awesome.
Nice. And you you do a lot of work outside of films too. You do Dream Loud campaign, right?
Hmm.
And Boo to Bullion,
Hmm.
and what's the other one? Lost in America was like a film you did too. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, yeah. So Lost in America was a documentary I produced about youth homelessness, and it
Mm-hmm.
was a film. It took us 5 years to make. It's a feature length documentary. I think that's also available if people want to watch that. But it essentially talks about youth homelessness in America, why it's such a big problem, and then what certain people are doing to try to help that problem.
Okay.
But it was kind of cool. We had like Halle Berry in there talking about her time in like a battered women's shelter. We have Rosario Dawson talking about her work that she does with homeless youth. We had Jewel, a Grammy-winning artist,
Mm-hmm.
talk about washing her hair in the sink of a bathroom before a job interview when she was homeless. And it's just, we have John Bon Jovi, we have Sanaa Lathan, Rebecca Gayheart Dane. I'm forgetting people, but it was, the point is it was a movie that like, it took us a long time to make.
Mm-hmm.
But it started out as such a little thing that we thought, okay, we'll just spend a couple months on this and make a movie about homelessness. And it, with every person that joined the film, it became bigger and bigger and bigger. And the end result being uh, a project that I honestly have to say, it's like one of the ones that I'm most proud of
Nice.
out of
Nice.
anything I've done, just because I think that this film is going to help homeless kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so yeah, so it was great. And then Buddha Bullying is just a charity I've been involved with for years. They create content that discourages bullying and tries to
Mm-hmm.
encourage, being yourself and like being proud of yourself. And they release that on the internet and try to just put positive stuff out there for kids to see, because cyberbullying is such a huge problem. And there's a lot of negative stuff out there. So Buddha Bullying tries to combat that. We also, before the pandemic, we would go to schools and talk to students and that sort of thing. Um, yeah, so it's I think it's a really important um, organization, and I love the work that they do.
Wow, nice. That's awesome. And I I also read about online that you you also stand up for gay rights too.
Mhm.
And by being a straight man like you were in a couple gay themed films. I think it was like E Cupid and Brothers Sinclair or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And like how do you get ready to play a role like being a straight man and playing a role where you have to kiss a guy or make out or
Yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I don't identify as a straight man.
oh,
So
okay,
yeah, and second of all, and I'm really proud of that. I think that it takes every color to fill a crayon box,
exactly, exactly.
and I'm very. I think that for me, without getting too much into it, I feel
Hmm.
like um, I feel like as actors, we always try to push the bounds of our own human experience and what we, what we've done or experienced. We try to step in the shoes of different characters and
Exactly.
do that as genuinely as we can. And for me, I try to do that with every character that I, you know, decide to turn into, to create in my
Hmm.
mind and try to share with the world. So, but I will say that I have been really, really fortunate, like my character on the Bay, who
Yes.
in season 6, I'll give away the spoiler, but whatever. But like he gets married to a man in the show,
Okay.
and for me that was really important because I think for so long the LGBT community fought so hard to have marriage equality and just have the same rights as everybody else, and in this country at least,
Hmm.
we've made huge strides,
Oh, I know.
and so to be able to show that with a character and to also have people watch the show, from fans from all over the world, and watch the show and watch the wedding and watch the character and think to themselves, wow, okay, it's two guys, but
Mhm.
that's just as normal as if it were a man and a woman or whatever else. Like wow, that's why would I be against giving them the same rights as everybody else, because they love each other just like everybody else, and love is love. And and so to be able to sort of, that's the response that I've gotten a lot from season 6 of the Bay,
Mhm.
of people watching that episode and watching the season. And so it really makes me proud. It makes me proud to have done that and have been that character.
Yeah. Because like my site deals a lot mainly with like horror films, and we were the first site to cover gay horror films, and then when the other bigger sites saw the following that we were getting from like gay males, they decided to do gay horror, and then they took our fan base away because these sites are like draw like 1 million followers. So once they start covering gay horror, then they get the fans.
Yeah.
Like and I took I took pride in that. Like I wasn't scared to show on the site. Like all these other horror films, they didn't want to put it up on the site. They were scared that the straight fans were going to get mad at them, and I didn't care. I'm like it don't matter what kind of horror movie it is. It's horror. I don't care if it's gay horror, if it's straight horror, if it's Asian horror, black horror. If it's horror,
Yeah.
it's getting put up on the site.
Yeah,
And
no, that's great. I think that
yeah,
that's fantastic. I mean, and that's how it should be. And I would hope that you did that not for the fan base, but did that because it was the right thing to do, which
yeah,
is what it sounds
exactly,
like you
exactly.
did. And I think that
Hmm.
I think that's great. I think that, when people are buying a movie ticket, it's interesting. Hollywood, and things are changing and things are getting better, but there are certain people and certain groups in Hollywood that are very quick to judge, to try to judge people, to not pay women as much, or to not
Hmm.
cast a black man in this role,
Mm-hmm.
or to not, cast a woman in this role, or not to cast, not to create content that's, gay content or LGBT or whatever. And it's just like, but at the same time, they have no problem taking your money when you
Oh,
buy
I
a
know.
ticket to their movie. They
I
have
know.
no problem having you be a fan of something, or have, when it comes to taking your money for seeing their movie and supporting their business, they'll
Yeah.
take it regardless of who you are.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
when it comes to representation, some of these people have been dragging their feet, and I think that they this year and last year they've been called out for it. And I think that that is why we're beginning to see a very dramatic change in Hollywood for the better. So I mean, I would applaud you. Like, great. I think that's great that you were one of the first to
Mhm.
horror sites to really start pushing that.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad. I'm maybe not great for you, but great that everybody else sort of caught on.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
hope that we see more of that across the board.
Hmm. Well, like me and my buddy, I run the site with, like, we're trying to branch out and finally put our, like, Gruemonkey name onto a film, and I hired someone to write the film, and it's actually going to be a gay horror film, and I'm really looking forward to it. Like, the guy I hired to write it, I'm waiting to see what the script looks like, and hopefully something comes about it.
Nice, nice, man. Congrats.
Yeah,
That's
thank
awesome.
you, thank you,
That's really cool to hear.
thank you. Appreciate that. Just what's next for you? Like, any projects coming out that got pushed
Yeah,
on, like,
well,
put on hold?
yeah, I mean, hopefully, I'm still shooting Days of Our Lives, so I'm still
Mhm.
doing that, and then hopefully, Son of the South, not Son of the South is still out, so hopefully that run continues, and in that one, if you or anybody watching haven't seen that yet, it's really special. I mean, it has Brian Dennehy, Julia Ormond, Cedric the Entertainer. It's
Nice,
executive produced by Spike Lee.
nice, nice.
It's his longtime editor Barry Alexander Brown is the one that directed it, and it's based on a book, so it's really about, like, kind of like what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a horror film, but
Yeah.
it's about the evolution of the civil rights movement in the Deep South in the '60s, and it just has so many great actors, and the story's great, and so I would hope that that really um, continues to do well over these next several weeks and months, and then eventually I hope that Son of the SlapFace is
Yes.
released, and
Yes.
later on this year, and maybe we can talk again about that when it comes out.
Definitely. Yes, definitely.
Cool.
Um, where where can fans find you at, like, your social media and all that stuff?
Social,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So it's everything is well. My website is mikemanning.info. So it's like,
Oh,
yeah, mikemanning.info. That's my site. And then on social media, it's Mike at Mike C Manning. I had to throw
mm-hmm.
a C in there,
Okay.
just because somebody else already had Mike Manning. So yeah.
Very cool. Oh, yeah, that's I there was one more question I wanted to ask you before I
Yeah.
ended it.
Shoot.
I forgot. I skipped over it.
No
Um,
worries.
what what do you like to do for fun when you're not acting and writing, directing, producing? Like, what do you like to do for fun outside of that world?
Yeah, I like to spend time with my dogs. I got two big dogs. I like to go hiking, go to the beach. I like to be outdoors
Mm-hmm.
basically, and just really get sunshine, and just like rock climb, and I would say that that's probably my favorite thing to do. That where I could just shut everything else off and just be present in nature. Shut off the noise, and be in my own little world for a little bit.
Sweet, sweet.
Yeah.
And just one more, and then I promise that's
Okay.
it, and then I'm gonna end it. Like everyone knows, like, by watching you in the show, like, you are big into health and fitness and working out. You got a great look, a great body, but, like, is there any junk food that you would eat, like your favorite junk food, like, on your cheat days?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I love peanut butter, and that's something
Okay.
that I have like almost every day. I can't stop. I'm addicted. I can't help it. But I would say my cheat food, like my Achilles heel, is
Hmm.
pumpkin pie.
Ooh, I love that.
Every
Yes.
Thanksgiving,
Yes.
I'll go to the store, and if I'm going to a party, I'll buy like a pumpkin pie for the party and a pumpkin pie for myself, and I'll just eat the whole thing. I'll just sit there and I'll just watch a movie and I'll just eat it like it's pasta or ice cream or I just the whole thing. I don't know why. I just pumpkin pie.
I love it. I
Yeah,
love it.
but
It's
you
so
but it
good.
seems like I'm not the only one. It seems like you're that a
Yes.
little bit like that too.
Yes, exactly.
There you go. Okay.
Exactly. I love it. I love
Pumpkin pie.
it. All right, buddy. Thank you so much for coming on the show, and when your new horror movie comes out, we'll definitely talk about that too.
Great. Well, yeah, no, thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun. And congrats on producing your next film. That's exciting.
Yes, I'm really
Um,
looking forward to that.
yeah, and I wish you all the best with that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
All right, buddy.
Take
Have a
care. Have a
good
good
night.
night. You too.